Now let's talk about a plan to transcend conceptually and geographically what we typically imagine as the tech business world, and to envision a future in which Nigerian and African tech industries and cross-stakeholders can collaborate, learn and thrive together, sparking innovation and creating a connected future. It's called the Omniverse, but when you get there, what will you find? Well, those behind it say they are making space for a new world beyond our world, a tech ecosystem where the creation of value and the harnessing of the power of technology and the defining characteristics and all the rest of it turn up in that universe. Well, that Omniverse tech ecosystem is due to launch in February, and for more, I'm joined now in the studio by its principal convener, the Nigerian entertainment and business impresario, Obi Asika. Great to see you, Obs.
Great to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know. Tell us about the Omniverse. I mean, to be fair, the pictures they used there were just sort of stills,
yes.
But I wanted to see the more jazzy, the pictures, and at first glance, it looked and sounded like a sort of virtual reality world, but that's not quite what it is.
I think it's actually a combination of that, plus the real world in which we live. So the idea really is about collaboration and convergence, right? The idea, you know, in Nigeria, I think unfortunately, a lot of us work in silos and separated. And what we see is that if you look at this country and if you look at Africa, if you apply technology and innovation to every sector, you can scale much faster. And if you do that and you bring the hot sauce, the soft power, the storytelling from the creative economy, you can now boost that. Because what we have seen is that our soft power is globalizing at the rate of knots, without much support, without much investment from institutional players or from government. It's coming from our natural DNA. And at the same time, our tech ecosystem and the startup ecosystem is growing and beginning to attract a lot of attention. You know, we're now in the attention economy. So that Omniverse is trying to gather these forces and bring them all together. We've gathered an incredible advisory board, incredible board of co-chairs, and we have support from the DTC, which is a digital transformation program in Nigeria of GIZ and EU. We're now talking to major corporates and major backers, and we're hoping to bring together about 30,000 people next year in Lagos.
I mean, I'm wondering how exactly this Omniverse is going to mesh in. I mean, you mentioned some of that with contemporary Nigeria and Africa. Is there enough tech innovation to fill this new ecosystem?
I think the thing is this, is that first of all, innovation is not new to Africa. A lot of times if you talk to younger people, they'll tell you the startup ecosystem started in 2010. And I asked them, what about NOC? It's about 3,000 years. What about IFE? What about Bronx? You know? So innovation is home in Africa. The question is, a lot of times we don't recognize it and we don't engage it. So what we want to do in the Omniverse is, even if you look at history and African history and culture, AI and Web 3.0 enable us to actually digitize and store our artifacts, our culture, and bring them to the fore. It's critical for all of us as Black people and as Africans to have language modeling in AI. Right now, all these things don't have African DNA in them. So if you don't bring it in, if you think you're behind now, you're really going to be behind in a year's time, because AI is by far the most transformative thing that has happened in the last
It's galloping ahead,
years.
isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, look at radio, probably took, I don't know, 50 years to get to 100 million users. AI took like 2 weeks, right? So AI is a whole different thing. And I think what we're seeing now is that we need to understand the power of convergence, the power of collaboration. What that does is gives us scale and leverage and increases our voice share and our mind share. And that's what the Omniverse is really about, crossing the world, because obviously with your phone, you're everywhere. You know, so if you ask the question about Africans, there's 1 billion phones in Africa. So let's put it to work.
Well, it's starting to sound exciting.
I hope so, because it's going to be an immersive experience. We're expecting, it's not just a regular 9-to-5 conference, right? So of course, you know, I have background in the entertainment industry. We're going to bring a lot of that to the table. Evening programming every single night. We want to celebrate as well, because I think one of the things we don't do in Nigeria is we don't celebrate. Yes, we have hard times, we have tough times, a lot of things have gone wrong. But let me tell you something, a lot of people have created incredible things, and they continue to do it. But nobody's marking it.
Yeah, so you want to bring all that together.
Bring that all together.
I mean, you seem to have a lot, just listening to you now and listening to you previously, you seem to have a lot of love for Nigeria, in spite of its many failings. I mean, you attended some of the best schools in the world, notably, of course, Eton College in the UK. Sorry?
So don't hold it against me.
No, I don't. And you could have successfully built your life in Britain.
Of course.
But you left all that and came back here and created a world that's become international, from television shows to your inputs into the Afrobeat music industry, which you have helped to go global. What convinced you to stake your claim in this country?
I think it's probably my father and my mother, right? Because the first things I think is how you're raised. And I was raised to understand that the most powerful people were the people, the intellectuals, the creators, the writers, the storytellers. And that's what they were. And also to understand the unique abilities of the Nigerian, what we bring to the table. So I think before it was trendy, before it was hot, my friends used to laugh at me. What are you doing? Why are you wasting your time on these people? And I was like, look, I think the Nigerians have something special. I think that, you know, so when I look at Wizkid and his journey, Wizkid used to maybe be in studios in my office in 2008, trying to hustle to be in the studio recording. So in 2018, I'm in the O2 and I'm watching him sell out the venue. It's emotional, right? I've seen the journey and we've been part of the journey. It's a privilege. And what I think Nigerians don't understand is how much it means to all Nigerians, to all Africans, to all black people, because we're just entering the African century. It is our time, it's our majority. But sometimes you don't see it because it's so murky around you. But I'm blessed that I've always been able to see the opportunity and the privilege of being Nigerian, because actually, where Nigeria goes is where Africa will go. And where we go is where the black man goes globally. But we need to build the bridge. And the Omniverse is also about that, because we're reaching out, we're building bridges, and we want to connect those dots. We don't want to treat anybody as second class. We think everybody's first class. And we're really, really excited about the fact that some of the people that are already engaged with us, already on board with us, come from the same perspective. They're natural collaborators.
But I mean, let's face it, this country is in a considerable mess at the moment, isn't it?
We have
I mean,
issues.
Politically, socially, and economically. How do you view what's happening in Nigeria at the moment?
I think it's growing pains, right? I think that's probably the best way to look at it. I think that until you go through these processes, you can't become an adult. It's like when you're a child, you're going through these things and you're going to become an adult. And one of the things that happens is for people to understand, especially young Nigerians, to understand that even these processes they've gone through have shown their power. Nobody can ignore young Nigerians. 50% of the population is 19.
Well, I was going to say that you have a lot of faith in the youth of this country, because
100%.
a lot of the areas that you're involved in have to do with young people, music, tech, all of that.
Because we see the innovation, we see the energy, we see the truth of the matter is tribalism and all these things don't get involved when you're dealing with innovation. If you're doing music, you don't care where the person is from. You're writing a film, you're making something of that nature. The creation, the innovation comes from everywhere. And I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited about, because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have the platform. And Nigeria, you know, Nigeria is an incredible place. We probably have more cultural festivals than any country in the world. We definitely have more heritage than any country in the world, but we haven't invested in it. Nigeria has not yet intentionally invested in the Nigerian story. We haven't told stories that bind. And if you look at what America has done, you know this, framing the narrative. What did the British do for 500 years? They framed the narrative. We've sat there and we complained. Why are you complaining? Let's frame our own narrative. Let's define who we are and let's own our future. Because the truth of the matter is, the future is only for the kids. I mean, me and you are past that stage.
Well, not me.
I don't know about
probably you.
But I mean, 19-year-olds, they want to hear that.
But I mean, to be honest, it is the talent and the energy level of those young people that can really transform this country,
Well, that's
isn't
the
it? I
whole
mean,
point.
that's what can really lead to big stuff happening.
100%. I mean, if you look at it, I think the things that are going to be explosive going forward, Nigerian cuisine is exploding. Nigerian fashion. When I talk about Afrobeats, I talk about Afrobeats culture. It's not the music. It doesn't come alone. It comes with the dance, the fashion, the attitude, the energy. And those things, that's the DNA. That's the unique thing about the Nigerian. So when a Nigerian enters anywhere in the world, we affect space. You know how it is. From 1,000 yards, I can tell a Nigerian out of any person in that room. And that's something that's a positive. So we have to build on the positive. You know, in Nigeria, it's easy to live in a negative 24/7 news cycle. And then you're searching for the good news. And what's the good news? The good news generally comes from the creative industries. Those things that give you that joy it's the Nigerians.
Right. So just returning to that Omniverse, which was the focus of the interview in the first place, when is it expected to take off?
Well, we've been at it for a while. We really have to be thankful to GIZ and the EU, who are our first core partners, and ISN Hubs, which is the biggest innovation network in Nigeria. 180 hubs in 30 states, privately set up, been running for about 5 years now. So from those places, we're launching February 27th, Lagos. We'll be at Landmark Center. We expect to have 30,000 people, something like 120 sessions, keynote speakers, breakout sessions, all of that. But it's going to be immersive, so that's the sexy stuff. It's going to be immersive. We're doing some things that I don't think have happened here before, and we really don't want to make it like just a sit and talk thing, because we're really interested in outcomes. So we're looking for outcomes. We're bringing academia right into the middle of this thing. So I think one of the big mistakes we've made in Nigeria is separating academia from business and separating academia from governance. So we're bringing them all into the room together. So how do we build together? And there's a triple helix thing that is used in business development and government development, and we want to see that in the Omniverse and bring that to the fore. We're working with the Nigerian Governors Forum. We're working with all kinds of people, and what we want to do is to allow everybody to come and showcase what is it you're doing, how are you doing it. Nigerians, we don't believe anything.
Right.
So you need to put it in front of the people to show them and showcase. This is what we do, this is how we do it, this is how we can enable you. Because let me tell you, there's talent in every inch of the country, but what does the talent need? It needs inspiration, it needs to be promoted, it needs to be supported. If you do these three things, if Nigeria invests in Nigerians and takes Nigerians as their most important asset, I don't think anybody can stop Nigeria.
Well, it sounds very promising, and I want to thank you very much indeed for coming to share this with us, and do let us know when the Omniverse kicks off.
But looking forward to having you guys there.
Well, hopefully, yes. And
we'll bring you to Lagos after a while.
Kicking and screaming, eh?
Don't worry.
Obi Asika is the principal convener of Omniverse. He's also a Nigerian entertainment and business impresario. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, man.